conference of the season. Why don't you open up, as we begin this first press conference of the season, Coach, why don't you open up with a statement, and then we'll take some questions from our meeting.
All right. Well, it's finally game week, and we've been preparing for Kansas since middle of last week. So we started last Wednesday. So this is practice basically number 6 for them, and we've got today and tomorrow and then Friday. Our plan is to leave out Friday night. We're thankful for the opportunity to be playing on national television. It is late, obviously, a 10 o'clock Eastern kickoff. So, that'll be definitely, new for us, but we are thankful to be on TV. And that's I guess, one of the benefits of being one of the only conferences to play this year. So we're excited about that. I think our guys are finally realizing that, it's this game is upon us. Obviously, we're still a little anxious because of all the testing that we have to do. We took our second COVID test of the week this morning, and then we've got one more Friday. So our guys are realizing that we're getting closer and closer to being able to play the game there. And so we've had some good energy at practice and good focus. So I'll open it up for that from there.
Okay, Coach, first question we have today is from Alan Blondin of the Sun News, who would like to know, have you decided on a starting quarterback, and can you name him now?
I have. We have decided on a starting quarterback. We will not name him at this time. We'll play a little cat and mouse, I guess, with Kansas a little bit. But we have decided that he's been with the ones for the last part of the week here doing that. And but we have decided on that, and he'll be our guy going forward.
A follow-up question from Alan Blondin of the Sun News is, how did the first round of coronavirus testing go this week on Monday? Did you lose any players that were expected to play a significant amount against Kansas?
No, we did not. We did not lose anybody that would be expected to play. We still will be missing 1, 2, 3, probably 4 guys that would contribute to our team for this game from a previous testing from quarantine, basically. And so we will be missing 4 guys that would have played. Not necessarily starters, but guys that would have contributed heavily to special teams and as backup roles and some of those things. So we will be missing those guys, but nobody we've lost as of the first test. We'll find out our next test tomorrow. We'll find out, and then we have the other one Friday before we leave. So we still got 2 things we got to get through there to see who's actually getting on the bus or plane to go to the trip.
Our next question from WNBF News. How will traveling be managed, and will it be done in waves, or how is that going to take place?
Well, we'll have specific requirements there that we have to follow. Obviously, when we're on the plane, we're going to do everything we can to get everybody 6 feet apart. Obviously, we'll be wearing masks and protective things from that nature. As we travel down to the airport, we'll be taking extra precautions as far as we travel in the buses and some of those things, and trying to keep everybody away from there. We're limiting what people can take on with them on the trip, just from that standpoint, and trying to do everything we can based off of feedback that we've gotten from other people that traveled to try to minimize and mitigate have an opportunity to potentially spread the virus. Good thing is, on Friday, when we get on the bus, when we get on the plane, everybody will be cleared from the virus because we test Friday right before we leave. So anybody on that trip should not have it. Now, after the game, when we come back, then we'll figure out what happens while we're out there. But when we're on the plane and on that, everybody on that trip will be cleared from the virus up to that point. So that's a positive.
Our next question comes from Danny Keller of the Post-Courier. Going more towards the home games now, will you be taking full advantage of being able to have up to 5,000 people at the game?
Yeah, our plan is of right now to have fans. I don't know exactly, how that works or what that's going to look like from that standpoint, but I do know that our administration has been working hard to have fans and have them here. Once, obviously, next week, once we're there in game week, I'm sure if we've not already released something about that, I've not been paying attention with that, to be honest with you. But I do know we're going to plan on having fans.
Our next question comes from Charlie Krause from the Coach and Crew Show. And Coach, what is your plan to stop Kansas's 1,000-yard rusher, Puka Williams?
Well, that's the big challenge there. We did a pretty solid job on him last year, but I know they got better. They've changed they've changed systems or coordinators, offensive coordinators, from the time that we played him last year, and he's a guy that we have to try to stop. And if we can do that, we're going to have to load the box. We're going to have to do a couple different things to try to put more people up there close to the line of scrimmage, because if he gets out on us, he has the speed to take it the distance. And last year we were able to hem him in quite a bit. This year they're going to spread us out more and try to hit us in between there, tackle wise and RPO, and do all the things they do. So that's been our number one focus, of trying to stop him and contain him. And you're not necessarily going to stop him. He's going to get his touches. He's going to make some plays, but we can't give up the big plays to him. We've got to make them earn that and be disciplined, in the things that we're doing there. But that's a big challenge. As you watched him last year, after they played us, he obviously got better and better and was really one of the bright spots on their team last year. And so, big challenge for our defense.
Coach, our next question comes from Shane Jackson. I apologize if you don't know his affiliate.
He just switched his offensive coordinator after a win over them last year. How preparing for the difference?
Different compared to last year?
Well, there's a bit of an unknown, and what I mean a bit of an unknown. Obviously, he became the coordinator, I think, there midway through the year, so you got a chance to see some of the things they were doing, but you don't know how much that was his and how much that was somebody previously, and so there's still some unknown as how much of a stamp is he going to put on it and what they're going to do. And so I do think it makes it a challenge for our defensive coaches. Obviously, they researched, their coordinator as much as they could during the time frame that we were preparing for them, and hopefully we got an idea of how they're going to attack us. But I think, right now with the way things have been with the COVID and all these different things, you don't know who's going to show up. You don't know if Puka's got the virus, or you don't know if the quarterback's got the virus. You don't know if any of us, who's going to have it. So I think until you get there, and really see who they have, and then you'll have an idea how they're going to try to attack you. But new coordinators bring some challenges for sure.
Next question we have is from Ian Brookman of Minority News. 5 losses last season with a combined total of 24 points. What have you seen in your defense throughout the summer and fall that can correct those mistakes that will make it towards the end of games last season?
Well, I think we have a chance to be deeper up front. Last year, you guys watched us. We didn't have a lot of depth. So our D-line and those guys, they were playing 60, 70 snaps a game, and nobody in the country does that at defensive line. And so, but we had to, because we just didn't have enough. I think this year we're a little deeper. So our starters there hopefully are not going to have to play 60, 70 snaps. Maybe they're playing 35, 40. That's a big difference, from that standpoint of staying fresh. So I think we're deeper there. I think, last year, Coach Staggs took over basically in late July, August, from a standpoint of coordinating. So he's feeling his way with the players, of things that he, trusted to call. And so now that he's, had a year, we did have the spring, obviously, and then having some of this practice time, I think you'll see that we're going to be a little bit different too in some of the things that we're doing. They're going to be more comfortable in our scheme. So I hope those things will help us, overcome when we're out there, have some depth to handle some of those situations that we came up short in last year.
Our next question comes from Chris Parks at WB2W.
Can you recap that win at Kansas last season? How special was it for you and the program being in that moment?
Well, it was, it wasn't pretty by any means, being the final 12-7, it was one of those where there was a lot of missed opportunities on both sides of the ball. The thing I do remember about it is, our defense came up big in a lot of situations. And 4th down, we were able offensively to sort of keep the ball away from them. And then, there was there in the 4th quarter with whatever time was mounting, they didn't have a lot of timeouts left because they used them earlier in certain situations. So it was one of those where it was going to come down to field position and who didn't turn the ball over. Unfortunately, during that time frame, we didn't do that. And so it was a great win. And it's going to be different this year, I will say, because we're going to have to score some points to win the game. But I think for me personally, obviously you get a Power 5 win, the first in our program's history. That was a big deal. But being able to get a win and coming off Eastern Michigan, who you thought you had a chance to beat, and we didn't play as well as you'd hope, and you want your team to believe in the things that you're asking them to believe in, and when you come out of the gate and get beat, and you still got guys trying to learn, even though I was here, but as a head coach being new, that they need something positive to happen, and for us to be able to get a win, Power 5 there. that helped those guys say, hey, these guys, coaches wise, they know what they're doing, et cetera. We trust them. And I think that helped us make progress throughout the season. And so that's why it was big, not necessarily because it was a Power 5, but just because I think that helped hopefully solidify some of the things that we're asking our players to do.
We have another follow-up question from Ian Brooking in Minority News. How excited are you to see this defense this Saturday?
Following the return of Silas Kelly with Jeff Gunter coming back to CCD.
Well, I've seen a lot of them. I've probably seen enough of them. That going against the offense, they've caused us issues all camp, and so I do think we have a chance to be good there. I really do. Now I think it's still the end of the day, though. I mean, we can have Silas. You got Jeff back. We think our front seven is going to be pretty good. At the end of the day, it's going to be what our back end does, because we can be really good up there. But if our back end and our secondary can't cover or can't tackle in space, it doesn't matter what our guys up front do. And so it's got to be a complete team effort there. But I do, as I mentioned earlier, with Silas back, you get Jeff. We had a lot of guys that had to play last year because of Silas and some of those injuries. And so now those guys, maybe not necessarily starters, but they're quality backup. So I'm really more excited about knowing that we've got some guys, if something happens or if guys are tired, we can put in there and hopefully not miss a beat as much. Now we did take, we won't have as much depth. One of our guys in quarantine is, somebody that plays in that front seven that was having a good fall camp, so he'll miss the game. He would have been a big contributor for us up front. But besides that, I do like, seeing those guys cut loose finally on Saturday night.
Coach, from Brandon Dunn at WPE, what is the difference you see in Kansas this season?
Well, obviously, as you watch them from when we played them through, they changed the coordinators there, so they got more comfortable with that offense and they became more explosive. And in our game, they were really trying to pound it, and so they're throwing the ball around a lot more. They're spreading it out more, trying to get Puka. So you see those things. The challenge that you have, so to speak, now is you just don't know. They're freshmen they signed last year, the redshirt freshmen. Who they added that's going to complement what they got coming back. And the same for us. Everybody's trying to figure that out. Who have you lost for some of those things? So I think that to me it's still up in the air. I do know they're going to spread it out more. They're going to try to be more RPO based and put us in some different situations there defensively. So that's the biggest, I think, the challenge that we face is sort of some of that unknown there a little bit, even though we did play them because it is a new coordinator.
Coach, from Gabe McDonald of WNBA, how refreshing has it been to see games go on safely during this first 2 weeks?
It's been awesome, because I think if you follow social media, there's been a line drawn in the sand, and it's on one side is the people that think you can do it safely, and on the other side is the people that think you're making a terrible mistake playing and you're putting all these things at risk. And it's almost like people want to see you. I don't necessarily say fail, but they want to see it not work so they can say, hey, I told you should have listened to me, and so hopefully as we can continue to go forward, you see positive things happen. And I don't know how many games we've had, and I'm sure after some of these games, there's been people that maybe have contacted the virus, or maybe they hadn't. I don't, you don't see those data, but the games being played, guys going out and playing well and doing the things, it's great to see. And I think at least for our players, I can't speak for anybody else, but after, they watch it and they see it, I think they got confidence knowing, hey, we're doing the things necessary to give us a chance to play. And I think that shows you that it can be done in a safe way, as long as you're, doing your best to follow, the procedures that are in place.
And it's kind of skip ahead. There's another question about from
How does it feel to know that you're playing football Saturday after all the
stuff the program has gone through over the past 6 months?
Well, I'm still a little apprehensive. We got these 2 tests to get through, so I'm still cautious about it, to be honest with you right now. But it will be. I don't know if there's a sense of relief if it'll be, but all the things that you had to go through, all the trials, turmoils, I think being able to have the opportunity to kick off, regardless of what happens. Hopefully, you play well and you win. But I think regardless, it'll be a great opportunity for our players to show you that if you can find a way, if you can pull together for a common purpose, good things can happen from that. And so there'll be a lot of joy, I believe, with our players just being out there and seeing them be able to do something they want to do. Because I think that's what gets caught up. A lot of people think it's all the coaches want to play. The coaches want to play. Man, the players are the ones who want to play. They're the ones that they're doing all those things necessary to play. And I think that's to be able to see them reach a goal, fulfill a dream, a goal to be able to get out there and play. That I'll have a lot of joy from that, knowing that they get that opportunity, and hopefully we play well when we do it.
Our next question comes from our good friend Chris Burton from KUsports Radio Network. There was a story last week that 3 high school coaches in Georgia are considering traveling quarterbacks separately from their respective teams because of concerns about losing them to the virus. What is your opinion on traveling key players separately from the team?
Well, I stated earlier, everybody that gets on the trip will have been tested that day, and we'll have a test back. So anybody going on the trip will be negative going out there. The challenge will be once you're out there and making sure you try to keep guys separated. So we normally when you travel, you're staying in your rooms and you got your quarterback staying together, you got your O-line staying together, you got all these different things. We're not doing that anymore. So we've tried to be as strategic as we can in rooming certain people. That way, if we lose somebody, we're not losing, the top backup or the next guy there. So to me, it's not necessarily the traveling out. It's the coming back, and while you're being out there, and while they're in the in hotel rooms and all those different things of trying to minimize that. That's the toughest challenge. But and so traveling out there is not the big deal. It's just getting that once you're there and getting back is the things where we have to be smart on.
Next question from Gabe McDonald, WBF News. Thoughts on the late kickoff on Saturday night?
Well, we're on TV, so I'm excited about that. If you ask me or others, I don't want a 10 o'clock kickoff. Our guys will be playing till 2 to 2:30 a.m. That's not ideal by any means. From especially in the timeline or the time frame that we are about player safety. But it is an opportunity to be on national TV, and maybe there's going to be some West Coast fans that become Chanticleers, so that's exciting from that standpoint. But I wish they'd have moved us to that noon kickoff, to be honest with you.
Coach, from Danny Kelly from Post and Courier, what's it like coaching against Les Miles? And
how will you approach it this time, having beating him last year?
Well, with him and the history that he has, you always got to be ready for fakes and him going for it on certain things, fourth down and all the different things. They call him the Mad Hatter for a reason, because he does things that maybe are out of the norm for certain ways, but it works for him. And so I think the challenge this year is making sure that your areas of concern, on your special teams and certain things, you're ready for any fourth downs, you're ready for fakes, that you're preparing for that. And what it makes you do is you got to prepare for a lot of the unknowns. And so I think that's what playing, somebody like that's known for going for it and all those, you got to play all 4 downs. And so we got to make sure we're prepared and ready for that. And at least try to cover as much as you can, because if you go back and look at his history, there's a lot of different things that he does and will attempt, and he has confidence in his players when he does it. So that makes it challenging, I think, when you go up against somebody like that.
Coach, I know just a few more here. I know you touched on this earlier, but another question from me, Brooke, from Minority News. The 3 players that played quarterback for KU last year are not back for the Jayhawks this season, so it'll be new quarterback under center on Saturday. How is your team prepared for the kind of offense they're going to run and the type of quarterback the Jayhawks are going to put in against our defense?
Well, I think they got a new one. I believe he's a grad transfer, if I'm not mistaken. He used to transfer at some point, so he's played some. Big kid there. So what that tells you, they're going to obviously rely on up front. They're going to rely on trying to get Puka and the running backs the ball and doing certain things. But I think what they'll do with the new, it's like us. Anytime you have a quarterback that's young, and all of our guys are still relatively young. Now, obviously, our 2 older guys now getting more playing time. But you try to do what's good with them. And when you got a new guy, I don't know. I don't believe Kansas had spring practice, so obviously they just had the summer with him. So they're trying to figure out what he's good at. So I think they're going to be. I'm not necessarily take shots, but I think they're going to pick their time and place to do that. They're going to try to rely on that run game, and then when we put a lot to the box, then try to take some one-on-one shots with a quarterback that's new. And he's not a young guy; he's obviously played before, but with a new guy in their system, that's how they're going to try to handle that.
One more question, Coach, from Charlie Krause, from the coaching crew.
Winning at Kansas last year, is that an advantage? Is that an advantage winning at Kansas last year? Does it really present itself as no advantage?
I don't think it's advantage. I think the only advantage is you've been out there before, so you know what the locker room looks like, et cetera. Obviously, there's not a lot of fans, so it's not like you're going into a hostile environment. I think our guys confident because you went out there and played and won. So there's some confidence from that 100%. If we went out there and got our butt kicked last year, maybe there's not as much confidence, but then there'd be that factor of, hey, we're going to go prove ourselves. So it goes either way. I'm just like Kansas are probably saying, hey, they're not coming back in here and going to do that again. End of the day, you can't worry about what happened last year. It's a different teams. There's different coaches, different players, and you got to focus on what now. And so the only thing that I know our guys believe, we did it before, so they believe they can do it again. And that if that's an advantage, which I think that's a good advantage, then you have confidence going in there, not a cockiness, but confidence. Hey, we've done this before. There is an advantage in that, at least in your own team, being mindset wise.
Coach, it looks like that's all the questions we have for you today. Thank you so much, and good luck this week.
Hey, I like this a lot better not having to see you guys personally. No offense. So, all right, guys. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.